Hello, everyone. So good to see you all here and all the people who joined this not so usual webinar. It's actually a study release party today. I'm Georg Schleicher. Normally, I'm the head of digital marketing at Cloudflight, but today I will be your moderator for today's launch party of this new study about B2B commerce, the untold costs and challenges of B2B commerce. We created this study over the last couple of weeks. I was involved in the creation of the study actually, and I must say I was pretty hyped about this day during the last days and weeks. When I first saw the first findings, I was like pretty hyped to finally publish it. And today is the day. Today we sent out a press release, and here in this very webinar, you're the first ones to get all the insights about our findings in B2B commerce. And I must say it's really nice. It's really nice findings, some things that are not expected, some things where you might say, okay, I expected, but now it's backed by data. I'm super hyped about this. And today I have with me Manja Kuchel, our Vice President of Marketing, who will be the speaker for you today. I will hand over to her in just a couple of minutes. I will just make a short introduction and then we jump right into it. So just to give you some housekeeping and webinar guideline rules, this session will of course be recorded. So if you're following the webinar and then in the end you get the entire recording, you can watch it again. You can share it with your colleagues and with your network, so this will all be fine. If you have any questions, if there is any technical issues whatsoever, you have the chat function, can communicate with us via the chat at any time during the webinar. And of course, you will receive the full study report after the webinar via email with some additional materials to it. So just a little bit of more patience until you can access the full study report, but you will get it then right after the webinar, right after our launch party today. And now I want to introduce Manja Kuchel. I will bring her to the stage. Manja, so nice to have you today. I will hand over the word to you now, and we'll be looking forward to all the results that you present us today.
Thank you so much, Georg, and it's a pleasure being here. And for all of you who may not know me yet, my name is Manja Kuchel. I'm located in Berlin, and apparently we do not have an office in Berlin yet, but never say never. I am responsible for the Cloudflight marketing overall across all of our business units, all of our solutions, including also not just the e-commerce solutions, but also the rest of all of our Cloudflight offerings. I'm with Cloudflight since a little bit over a year. I have quite a bit of a history in product land. So in my past, I was primarily working for IT security and or process management solutions. But I'm enjoying the freedom of creating custom solutions for our customers within Cloudflight for the last year. And long story very short, because this is not about me, it's really about what we found out and how you can benefit from that. So looking into today's agenda, we're going to look into a bit of welcome and introduction. We did that. As a first step, we will focus on the state of B2B commerce in 25. We will then look into the key findings and an action plan for B2B commerce. While the entire study is 35 pages, we're going to double click into the biggest highlights, some of the findings. As a follow-up to this launch party, you're going to get an email with the full study attached to it with the recording. So you can go through the full study with even more detail of what I am sharing today. So we just give you a bit of a sneak preview and some of the highlights today. And with that, let's get started. For all of those who don't know who Cloudflight is yet, we are a digital engineering company, and we truly dedicate our hearts, souls, and everything we do to developing business-critical software solutions for our customers in primarily the DACH market, but we also look around within Europe. And we most likely have an office close to you. So when you look at our office overview, We have a couple of offices in Austria. Like currently, I'm in Vienna, so today greetings from Vienna. But we also have offices in Amstetten, St. Pölten, in Graz, and Linz. In Germany, we are in Munich, Karlsruhe, Frankfurt, and also Kiel. Berlin, not yet, but we never know. And we then also have offices in Wrocław and in Cluj, while Wrocław is our like epicentrum of e-commerce. Very proud of that, and continuously growing. We are close to 20 years in the business, and we have over 800 engineers working for us in different areas, not just commerce, but also data and AI, cloud ops, or even embedded software solutions. So most likely you have endeavored us somewhere. We have over 2,000 projects under our belt, so we're quite experienced in everything we do. And we thought that it's time to actually really double click into B2B commerce. So what is driving B2B commerce? What is your fellow CIOs? What are they thinking? What's driving them, or what's keeping them up at night? What are the primary issues? So currently we live in an area or in an era of like really constant change and constant connectivity. So while back in the past we were differentiating in between B2B and B2C markets, currently everything became more like one. So in the B2B landscape, people now do expect the same effortless and easy shopping experiences that they have in their private life. So why should shopping for jeans be so different than shopping in a B2B context? So people expect speed, personalization, like full data integration. They're used to that kind of luxury, and they really want that in their B2B experience as well. So most likely that changes everything. So it's modernization needs to happen in those e-commerce projects, and it's no longer something that you can delegate to tech teams. It really needs to be part of the entire business model. And the future of B2B really belongs to companies that can build innovative, connected digital ecosystems that kind of like design around their business goals and no longer just be stuck to systems because just you developed it 3 years ago. It doesn't need to be stuck in the past. And especially when we look at developments the last couple of years with AI-driven searches and everything, this is changing the business so much, so fast that we at Cloudflight and our analysts believe this is a very good time to actually look into some data and to some details into what is the market actually thinking. So get away from gut feelings and from assumptions to actually drill into data of your fellow CIOs or business owners. And this is why we built this study, and we want to go even beyond those feelings and assumptions and give you something more data-driven that also may help you to actually come to better decisions for your business. And when we look into the purpose of the study, so really the study seeks to expose the financial and operational risks of like outdated commerce technology. And I mean, we are a tech company by heart, so of course we're looking into the tech stack more than into the like marketing or social commerce perspective. We try to map the digital maturity gap across company sizes and regions. So is there really a difference of where your business is located and how big your business is? And we try to identify like the real barriers to modernization. So what's keeping companies from actually going with the trend or have their tech stack and their e-commerce technology up to date and running with the latest and greatest developments, so that we really come from cost to integration complexity. We try to translate that data into more of strategic guidance that actually really helps you to build your opinion and to build your future roadmap when it comes to your e-commerce strategy. You may now ask, oh, that was one too fast. You may now ask of who did, wait a second, no, I got lost. So back to slide 8. you may ask now, like, okay, who did we talk to? Like, how did we get to all the numbers we're going to show you in a second? And what we did is we talked to 150 CIOs, CTOs, CDOs, COOs, heads of IT, heads of commerce. So we really went to a comprehensive view throughout the B2B landscape. And so we went from like a C-suite perspective to senior management involved in e-commerce and e-commerce related technology decisions. And in terms of industries, we really focused around 5 key B2B sectors. So it's really industrial equipment, automotive, electronics, chemicals, and wholesale and distribution. So these are the industries that we focused on, and we try to really give you a full range of company sizes. So there is from smaller SMB companies with under 10 million euros in annual revenue to up to the global players that are exceeding the 500 million barrier. Because we thought, like, hey, is there any difference in between smaller or bigger companies? Who's moving faster? Who has, the better approach to things? In terms of geographic coverage, it's like what we cover. It's across Europe, starting with the DACH market, of course, as the center, and then throughout the Nordics, Central and Eastern Europe, but then also the Benelux countries added to it. So we really wanted to show you also a bit of a difference in between the number of employees. So it's from 100 to over 5,000 employees. And this is really giving you a crossroad in between European B2B commerce-centric companies and allowing you to actually get a very reflected opinion. So when we now double click into more of the details, like what are our key findings? Like, where did we land? What are you going to take away from today? So there's 3 really, really big key findings that we see evolving in the market. So first of all, there's a primary barrier to modernization, and that actually changes depending on the company size. So for smaller firms, those that are making under 15 million in annual revenue, the biggest roadblock is upfront cost. They cannot move around so quickly. So around 70% of micro businesses and 58% of small businesses told us that their initial investment is just too big. So they are holding back from this cost block, and they're sitting it out until they can't wait any longer. And with larger enterprises, that really shifts more towards the complexity. So most likely those larger companies are being based on legacy infrastructure technology. They have more complex connections into their data systems, into their infrastructure. So their commerce solutions sit on like a big, almost always very customized tech stack. So the integration complexity for them is one of the biggest hurdles. And talking about hurdles, another one is that throughout, the strategic positioning of depending on where you sit in a company or which department you own, and in between, even I realized that in marketing, we do have a bit of a different perspective of what we want and what we should do than we probably have in like delivery, development, and or sales. So the strategic tug of wars inside any company is also something that is a big holdback for modernization, for IT upgrades, for maintenance decisions, because different departments want different things, and bringing everybody under one umbrella is quite a big challenge. So on the one side, you got IT leaders, CIOs, CTOs, and they're pushing for more foundational projects like data integration. So have everything aligned, like your Salesforce, your ERP systems, kind of like tucked into your commerce solutions, so things are talking and writing to each other. And they know, like no matter how great your user experience is, if you don't have the right data in place, everything is going to go sideways, or you cannot offer the best possible experience. But when we then look into business leaders like COOs or head of sales, they're pushing more for customer facing improvements. So they want a better end-to-end experience. They really want to offer something that makes the customer more happy, offers more satisfaction. And the tension often shows that we basically want everything and anything, but the solution is most likely looking like businesses are picking sides. Do they rather focus on like data integrity, or do they focus on more of an experience side, but maybe not everything is up to date? And having both in line really requires that priorities are being aligned and that architecture is being kept flexible, so actually can move with the ever-changing requirements. And then last but not least, we also see a very clear maturity gap as the third key finding. And this really translates into, the company size does matter. And, 82% of the mid-sized firms, those are in the range of like 250 to up to almost 1,000 employees. They rate themselves as advanced, while the smaller companies, they see themselves more in an early stage kind of perspective. So while they are just tapping into B2B e-commerce and building things, the like medium sized companies and the bigger companies have like a bit of an advantage being ahead of the game almost always. And because they have also more people in the game, they have more insights, they have more departments that come up with a joint plan. So for bigger companies, it's most likely easier to then be maturing into the e-commerce game. Moving over, so again, today we're going to show you just a little snack bite size of what you can find throughout the entire study. But let's get started with the real insights. So when we look into the hidden costs of legacy systems, that often gets overlooked. And what we asked companies what they actually spend each year just to maintain their existing but often outdated e-commerce systems. And the result was quite eye-opening, because for smaller firms, those with like fewer than 100 employees, the majority, and they spend about 71% less than like the bigger companies. So they are around like 100,000 a year that they spend on maintenance. So again, the smaller companies spend like 100K around maintenance. So that's not too bad as a first glance. But when we look into the like medium-sized companies or into the bigger companies, they spend up to 500,000 every year just to keep their legacy systems up and running. So they haven't even done any innovation. So it's $500,000 to just do maintenance on what they have. And if they would invest on innovation and net new solutions for their commerce solutions, those larger enterprises are really looking into the bigger dollars and bigger investments. And that is not always the best accelerator for innovation or growth. It's just, they have to maintain first, and then they can look into anything that they want to change or can change. So when we ask why is doing nothing the most expensive choice, is if you don't walk with the trend, if you don't help your B2B customers to actually shop in the same way that they would shop for jeans or for groceries, they're going to move away, because most likely we're never alone in the market. There's always better offerings, more effortless shops. And if you want your customers to stick with you, you really need to keep up with the opportunities that are in the market in terms of technology, in terms of efficiency, agility, speed. So really offering that kind of experience. Moving forward into the next slide, we will look into the primary barriers for modernization. And this really means that the biggest barrier for modernization, modernization is completely based on a company's revenue. So the bigger a company there's some different focus areas. And for all companies above the 50 million rate, it becomes more or less the integration complexity is the problem. As said before, they do have legacy systems. They do sit on a bigger tech stack that needs to be aligned and agreed, that needs to be working with one another. So complexity for bigger companies really is an issue. While when we look into the smaller companies, again, this is the upfront cost that then is causing the issues, followed by skill gaps, because your business is most likely not being an expert in e-commerce, or not being an expert in e-commerce strategy or e-commerce technology. Your business is around of what you offer in your respective industries, your products, your productions, and you shouldn't be e-commerce experts. So, building specific teams for that can be done in-house, or can be done by leveraging companies like Cloudflight to then actually support you with your commerce tech stack. And there's also some other internal resistance or change of management, which are the usual problems. We all know this kind of phenomena. When new managers like myself come in, a lot of things are changing. There's new ideas, new perspectives, and that's always a ride. And it's there's good and bad things in it. But it's good to kind of like look into new opportunities, to look into new perspectives. And we can also support you with that on the long run. So now this is going to be a very busy slide, and I want to focus, or want you to focus on two essential things. So first of all, we're looking into different industries. So you see a color-coded industry layer. So the darker we get more to automotive, and then followed by chemicals. So if you're reading from the left to the right, every specific areas, starting with automotive, chemicals, and then followed by electronics and other like industrial equipment and wholesale and distribution. And looking into the slide, we're really trying to focus on the top areas of improvement over the next 12 to 18 months, which again, this is a very sensitive clicking mode. So when we're looking into this, what we found is that there's some internal conflict around the barriers of modernization. So it shows up into the investment priorities, and it's very different from industry to industry. As you can see, like automotive is leading in some areas, whereas the other industries have a bit particular different needs. And this means it's a classic case of different KPIs and different perspective across departments. And let's start with the IT and technical leaders. So they are like your CIOs and CTOs. For them, the focus is really building on strong foundations, the plumbing of the organization. The top priority is data integration, and that is across systems like ERP, CRM, or any PIM systems. So it's roughly 64% of CIOs and 60% of CTOs say this is where they want to invest. So really into the heart of the organization and data integration. And it makes sense because it's, it measures by system stability, data integrity, efficiency, and they know that without a central solid data layer underneath, the customer-facing feature will never really perform. But now on the other side, we have business and operation leaders like the CIOs, the head of sales, and their perspective is totally different. Like they are much closer to the customer, they are closer to revenue targets. So their focus is more customer facing, and they actually really want to focus on like self-service portals or digital storefronts. So they want to offer as much service as they can for at the lowest effort for the customer possible. And this turns into 76% of all COOs and close to 80% of all sales leaders they want to prioritize those investments that are more around the direct customer expectations and the market pressure. And when we come to people like me, like marketing, we have even different wants and needs. We want the latest and greatest technology. Our top priority really is platform migration or re-platforming. We want the up-to-date tools and really want to offer a great perspective. So we're not so much the engineers, we just trust into tools and offerings and new trends. And of course, my team, myself, we're facing tools like Instagram, like TikTok. We experience of like what's the latest and greatest, what can you do? So how can we bring this to our customer offerings? And while I am now, in marketing for Cloudflare, but marketing departments always want to offer like the latest and greatest trends. So, what does this all tell us? Where do we get with all of this? The strategic chasm inside many organizations is actually really real. So everyone agrees that modernization is super important. So we can all sign this, regardless of what department we're sitting in. But we're pulling from different directions. So next time you look into your e-commerce strategy or starting an e-commerce strategy, putting it on the roadmap, or even changing your business model to add it or amp it, you should actually bring those teams together, because it's essential to actually capture their perspective before you start your migration, or before you start your modernization and transformation path for your e-commerce projects. Moving forward, we try to look into like the digital capabilities that B2B buyers are now expecting as a standard. And what does this mean? So as a B2B buyer, I'm not so much different from a B2C buyer, but what we're seeing and what 150 people told us is that what's used to be a differentiator is like things like personalized experiences or easy, an easier recording is now simply the price of entry. It's like this is best practice. And best practice only has you have a seat at the table. It doesn't make you leading in your market. It doesn't, like, even if you built an internal kind of like shop or order system, it doesn't give you any props. It's just like, you're there, you're actively participating, but you're not winning. You may not be losing, but you're also, you're not great. You're not popping out. You're not shining with what you're offering. So in other words, there's some new table stakes that you actually need to look at. And our latest research in the B2B buyer expectations revealed that there's a strong consensus across leadership roles, from IT to operations to sales, is that about good now looks like very different than it looked like 5 years ago. And across the board, one capability stood out as above all others, and that's really personalized pricing. So like more of a curated pricing strategy depending on who's visiting your shop. So when we're looking at the CIOs, like 60% of them are saying that's the most essential feature that they like to see. But looking into COOs, like the chief organizational officers, like 90% of them are seeing this as a super pressing, super needed, and super wanted feature. And the CTOs agree with the CIOs saying like, look, this is about 60%, this is what I want. And so this is really ranking high. And even 60% of sales cited that personal pricing is really a single most important capability and is now expected as a standard. And this tells us something very critical, that buyers and internal stakeholders are very much alike. They now, they agree on what's needed. They now assume that every price, every discount, and every offer will be dynamically tailored to the customer in a specific context automatically. So, the system learns of what the customer is going to look like, what they want by their shopping behavior, and it's adjusting automatically. So a monolithic platform is no longer allowing you to keep up with those standards now in the market. And this really means that, investing into a more flexible, agile structure is absolutely needed. And another thing is also that it's no longer just enough to have a digital catalog or a checkout button. So B2B commerce today needs a mirror of complexity, like a real business relationship with still the feeling of effortless for the buyer. So while you don't interact with a real human, you still want the full service that you could get when interacting with a human. So what does that look like? A truly modern B2B e-commerce platform is no longer a static website. It's a dynamic ecosystem capable of like managing complex, personalized pricing rules. It can integrate with real-time inventory systems. It will be supporting streamlined reordering for loyal customers, and also like critically doing all of this at the same time. So it's no longer this or that, A or B. It's really customers now want everything. They want the full experience, and it's not like, oh, I rather have this over that. They want everything together. And that has us move to the next slide, which I just have to navigate to. Sorry for that. And our next slide is really about the key strategies for B2B commerce leaders. So what do we want you to focus on? What should you focus on regarding your 150 fellows that we talked to? So first of all, treat modernization as a business transformation, not just as an IT project. Whatever you touch in your e-commerce system, it really is part of your business model. It should be part of your business plan. And every department views it very differently. And when you look into modernization, you need to reflect those different perspectives, because IT cares about stability and data quality. Business teams are more focusing around the customer, the conversions, the satisfaction. And I think bringing all of it together, and this is what our interviewees agree with, this is what makes or breaks the success of your e-commerce business plan, of your e-commerce strategy. It's like really having everything reflected, listening to your customers and to what they want and what they see as based on technology, and essential features. And if you frame modernization purely as a technical upgrade, you will lose on the business side. So it's just, the technology can be great, but if it's not the full experience, then it won't work. And if it's only a marketing initiative, and I'm in marketing, I'm allowed to say this, it won't work and IT won't buy in. It's I can tell you that from experience, that the fun and crazy marketing ideas not always click that well with the IT department. And there's this whole journey of how do we make this actually also compliant and effortless for customers, very needed. So real success comes when you align with both, like when commerce becomes more of a shared strategic platform for growth and working across the company, not just in the IT or CTO department. So us now looking into the next steps is we're not there. So from modernization, I think we got this. It's not just an IT project, but then looking into the second key strategy is really build a flexible ecosystem that can grow with you, that allows you to add things or to scale things, and really develop your e-commerce strategy with high impact, with steps that actually make a difference and that have you win over others. Looking into our next slide is, so what are your next steps now? What is it that you can do now to actually benefit from this story in a full spectrum, and what you should be doing, looking into your strategy? So first of all, really turn this into, actionable insights. You can contact us anytime. You will get a follow-up email, and you will see the entire study, but you also get access to you can access the current digital, you can access the entire study, but what we want you to do is really assess your maturity, look into where you at, what do you want to develop, then focus on your hidden costs and modernization barriers. So what is it that is keeping you from moving forward? And then as a third step is really receive a tailored roadmap with your growth goals. You can develop this with your teams internally. You can ask for help. You can ask for our support. We're more than happy to support you with anything that you need in terms of your e-commerce roadmap. Coming to an end again, the study is more like close to 40 pages long, with many more insights on what different departments and different perspectives want, but we can give you more access to that in the email and in the summary. And that being said, for today, I thank you very much for joining us. And again, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us via email, via the webpage, or just via contacting your favorite account manager in our teams. And I say thank you and see you soon.